Uh, I think it's personally very grateful to meet you because my major was the combustion instability of rocket combustion. So
awesome.
probably I refer you a couple of papers in my paper.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic.
So
Thank you.
it is my great pleasure to meet you, even though it is by the internet.
Yeah. Maybe in future we'll meet in person.
Yeah,
Thank you.
maybe.
Do you still do combustion instability?
Yeah, actually, I retired the last February. So right now, I don't have any connection with the combustion instability at all. But I know that topics very well.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the profession, we always hope that we don't see combustion instability, right?
Yeah.
We don't want
No.
only in the lab we want it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. By the way, how was the weather in India? Is it very hot and humid? Like
I think our peak summer is in May and June, so now it's
May
monsoon
and
has
June,
come and it
okay.
has cooled down slightly. It's not very bad.
In Korea, this is the peak of the summer. So
I know.
the
Yeah.
temperature is above the 30, 34 and 35. So
Yeah.
everybody is surviving every day.
My nephew works in Seoul, so he tells me that it is. He thought Korea was a cold country, but he says it's very hot.
Okay. We have 5 minutes.
Nice to meet you. This is Esa Wall from INS. I'm a vice president of the CAS, and happy to meet you.
Morning, sir.
Dr. Oh is the first speaker from Korea side.
Okay. Hello, I am Sujit from Professor
Nice to meet
at IIT Madras.
Yeah.
Rambiga. I'm also working in IIT Madras now as a professor of practice.
Actually, I visited India for about 10 years ago, 2015. I was invited by IDSA, Indian Defense Security Analysis. It is a very wonderful time at India.
See. We can start in another 2 minutes.
Yeah, I guess so. So maybe we should announce that questions can be typed in the chat box or something. I guess you would do that?
Yesterday, yes. You can just announce.
Yeah, after this whole session, we can collect that question.
Collect all the questions, yeah.
afternoon and good morning to all of you. Thank you for joining us today on the second day of the 7th INA-NAK workshop on the theme Current Status and Cooperation Plan of Satellites for Observing the Earth. So, IIT Madras, formerly of the Indian Space Research Organization. So, I am coordinating this workshop. So, we have the second technical session today, which is on policy for accessing and utilizing satellite images in the private sector and the examples of use of satellite images in various fields. So it is my pleasure to introduce the session chairs. Dr. Changjin Lee is a research fellow at the Korea Association for Space Technology Promotion and also an expert advisor. And he's also the former professor of the Department of Aerospace Engineering at the Konkuk University. He is co-chairing this session with Professor R.A. Sujit, who is Institute Professor and D. Srinivasan Chair Professor of the Department of Aerospace Engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, who also heads the Center of Excellence to study critical transitions in complex systems at IIT Madras. So over to you, Dr. Changjin Lee and Professor Sujit.
Okay. Thanks for your nice introduction for me. And it is my great honor and pleasure to be co-host the second day session, technical session between the India and Korean Academy of Engineering. And today we have three wonderful speakers in Korea side. And I believe that the another three wonderful speakers from the Indian side. And I hope this session would be very fruitful outcomes, and it will continue to enhance the relationship between India and Korea in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Professor Lalithambiga. Thank you for introducing me. And we have three incredible speakers from India today. And I think we are moving step by step towards to greater cooperation between India and Korea, and we look forward to a bright future. So I guess I will let the Korean side take over the first talk.
Yes, the first speaker from the Korean side is Dr. Il-suk Oh. He is the Vice President of the Korean Academy of Space Security. And Dr. Oh will deliver a speech on the law and policy of utilizing satellite information in Korea. Please welcome Dr. Oh with a big applause.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. I'm very happy here with the brilliant scholars talking on the space security. I'm Il-suk Oh from INSS, Institute for National Security Studies. And also, I'm a vice president of the Korean Academy of Space Security. CAS was established last year, and we are now working as a platform with from the academia and then public and private partnerships platform for the academia and the government and the industry members. We have already 200 more individual members, and we also have about 40 more company members, including Kari and Korean Air, Arizonex, and other brilliant Korean companies. Today, I talk on the policies and law and policies for utilizing satellite information in Korea. I will share my slides with you. Wait for a second. So now I will talk on the law and policy for utilizing satellite information in Korea. As you know, this session is a technical session, but I am focusing on the policy issues
Dr.
on
O,
the related technology.
your slide is not shown at all. Please,
really?
yeah.
I will check it already.
You're seeing your desktop, not the slides.
How about this?
Can you get to full screen, please?
Can you see it?
It's not full screen yet.
Yeah, I see. How about this one?
Very good.
Perfect.
Thank you for your understanding. And as you know, this session is a technological session, but I'm focusing on the policy issues related with the utilizing satellite information in Korea. So why we are focusing on satellite information? As you know, the digitalization and non-contact society is coming, and it creates a variety of new security threats that, of course, physical and virtual areas. Under this situation, government shall collect and provide accurate, timely, and problem-solving information to respond to various emerging security threats. Satellites now equipped with advanced optical devices also are increasing the value of information by providing precise photos and images even for areas that are physically inaccessible. Oh my God. The importance of such satellite information was demonstrated during war in Ukraine, as you know, and then it also satellite images has been used to detect North Korean shipments in violation of international export control norms and monitor Houthi rebels' activities at the Red Sea. In other words, as you know, satellite information is being used as a tool to ensure national security, promote the international peace, improve the quality of life of people, and liberate them from disaster and hunger. On the other hand, the satellite information is also used economically by analyzing commercial district, autonomous driving, changes in people's tastes. So it affects every corner of our lives. So it also makes the revenues through the using this kind of satellite information, as in the stock markets or future markets. It also very advancedly used by the investors. So therefore, the demand for satellite information is increasing the market and it's becoming core digital economy. So every state collect and analyze satellite information and space information. But it was led by the government side. But as you know, this is the new space era that the private companies and private companies are leading the space development. So it is needed, and we think about why do we use this kind of satellite information or the space information that was accumulated by government. Why we make an access this kind of information, and why we open to the public this kind of information. So because we are in the era of growth with people, the concept of growth with people has been developed since the 1990s, when the government supply chain, so globalization began to take shape with the distortion of the Cold War and the wave of information. Climate changes, environmental pollutions, and new infectious disease has emerged as a result of globalization, and global supply chain was strictly established. To solve these kind of problems, the concept of human security and sustainable growth emerged on the paradigm shift from growth by people to growth with people. So we are penetrate the close to the people in 1990s. Based on this, transparency in government and the rule of law is decision-making, fairness in distribution, and openness of information has been enhanced with values. So, close to the people, under the concept of close to the people think that they can access to the information accumulated by the government side. So in particular, based on the principle of government transparency by openness of information, the free use and access to information accumulated through the investment of a state budget or fund has been established. Following these principles, the guarantee of openness and free access to satellite information also very important and has been strengthened. But nowadays we think it grows through people. Meanwhile, nowadays the fourth industrial revolution, represented by artificial intelligence and big data, has created more advanced global supply chain and strengthened the global problem. Global problems such as cyber attacks, climate changes, and infectious disease are spiraling out of control and are being pushed to the limit of control, even in the globalized society. However, the technology of fourth industrial revolution are creating new value through the quantity and quality of accumulated data that enable growth through people. In other words, the information data such as distance of people's movement, number of person come to contact, and person's food preference status, healthcare, and financial information has created value. So man-made data, man-made information is important, but it is also connected with the satellite information. This data is being enriched by satellite information, but for the satellite information and data to be fertilized for close through people. That means security of satellite information is also crucial. This is not only to protect the fundamental rights and problems of individuals, but also because satellite information data itself is becoming an important element of national competitiveness and national security and developing space industries and other related industries. In the era of growth through people, the satellite information is essential for the strengthening economic development and national security. So it is important to find balance and harmony between two pillars of openness and security of satellite information. That means fostering economic development and space industry ecosystem through free access and sharing of satellite information, and securing national security and competitiveness advantage through security measures for satellite information. That is the two pillars of the policy related on the satellite information utilization. Now we are zoomed to the openness and security of satellite information. This is, I think, everybody knows in this field very well, the characteristics of satellite information, especially like the Earth observation information data. It's the detection of electromagnetic energy reflected or emitted by Earth through remote sensing. It's collected by quantifying and recording that. The quality and quantity of remote sensing imagery, as well as methods of processing and storing data and information, are evolving and improving with the technical advance such as cloud computing and deep learning. The nature and target satellites imagery is determined by the nature of the observation, and the processing can also affect the legal status of information and data generated. However, satellite information from raw data to analyzed information can have significant technical, social, and commercial values. So openness of satellite information is about enhancing the legal and technical interoperability of satellite information and enabling that its full potential is realized by widest possible number of users. Openness has been established internationally through the declaration that data, metadata, and products shall be opened and shared. One of the fundamental principles is that when satellite information is open and shared, it should be made available free of charge or without restriction or revenue reuse. Furthermore, even where international agreement, nation policies, or law restrict the principle of openness and sharing, data should be made available with minimal restrictions on use and at or below the cost of reproduction and distribution. Also, all categories of data should have no delay is being served, and if there is a delay, it should be minimized. Openness in template to use terms such as free and open. These concepts also have vague limitation. The lack of clarity in these terms provide uncertainty in establishing legal interoperability of satellite information. The security of satellite info is also important, as I said before. Why satellite data openness requires and guarantees full and free access, this can be restricted for national security reasons. In addition, copyright regulations and general database protection regulations in various jurisdictions add to the legal uncertainty of user right to satellite information openness. It is natural for countries to monitor, block, and regulate the collection and transfer of sensitive satellite information that is directly related to national security. This is because images and information about specific geographic areas are still protected by national laws and regulations. So we have some problems. Then we have the status, how to satellite information utilized in Korea. Korea has acquired and distributed various satellite information and utilizes various public services such as weather, environment, and marine and land and agriculture. The satellite information utilization industry has a low value added in Korea. It is poor stage, but now it is glowed by the boom of the space industry. Korea, in the low value industry like the satellite information utilization industry, relies on the public demand centered on image sales and processing. But nowadays, the analytic services industry has been emerged. Yesterday, I met the CEO of Contact, Mr. Lee. He shows his services areas and his service products on the images. It covers everything on the downstream of the space industry. So Korea is nowadays kind of the leading startups to this industry ecosystem in downstream of the satellite information. As of 2017, satellite information unitized industry revenue grows 62% in information areas, 32% in information processing, and 6% in analytic services. And it has more values on the analytic services, as the context said yesterday. In addition, Korea has strengthened international cooperation through the active participation in international organizations such as Group on Earth Observation to expand the free usage of satellite images related to disasters. The Group on Earth Observation is an international conference on joint Earth observation and surveillance in which more than 100 countries participate. I think you know it very well. Furthermore, Korea is increasing image acquisition on the Korean peninsula by operating satellites jointly with other countries. Korea is also continuously promoting joint satellite operations with other countries. In particular, satellite cooperation in Latin America countries has resulted in the acquisition of about 50,000 additional images of the Korean Peninsula as of December 2020. But we have the problem. There are various satellite information service homepages and authorities and agencies, but most of them are maintained without continuous updates after initial development. So it is important to continuously reflect improvement by analyzing user needs and usage status. And it is important to secure financial resources to continuously improve the services. The user interface is difficult because it is provider-centered and expert-centered. It is necessary to improve the user interface by layering it or making it more consumer-centered so that it is accessible and easy to utilize not only for experts but also for general users. To improve the quality of satellite information services, it is necessary to secure and provide latest low data. It is also necessary to produce and provide standardized data, providing software for further data analysis. Periodic training is required for expert and general users. Periodic updates of related training programs and software are also needed. Satellite information has been used by government ministries and municipals to monitor land and ocean situation and provide weather observation and spatial information services. But it is difficult to implement services due to the lack of budget of satellite information utilization, the weak position of the dedicated organization for satellite information utilization, and lack of integrated system for utilization of the satellite information, and lack of a policy of the utilization of satellite information. So improve this kind of problems. Korea has made a legislation on related to the use of satellite information. There are three pillars of registration we have. The use of satellite information shall be governed by the National Intelligence Service Act, Space Development and Promotion Act, and the Special Act on the Establishment of Operation of the Korean Aerospace Administration. Here after I said it as a CASA Act. National Geography information is regulated on the Basic Act on National Security Information and is under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport. For this viewpoint, in Korea, space information and satellite information are some different terms in scope and jurisdiction in Korea. So making these kind of the legal systems, I showed the one charter like this one in this picture. As I said, space information has the satellite information and geography information. It's divided into two sectors because of the law and the jurisdictions are different. Satellite information has the authority on the NIS and the CASA, Korean Aerospace Administration, and the Ministry of Land and Transportation is governed and has an authority on geography information. The satellite information controlled by the Act it's a National Intelligence Act, and there is a Space Development and Promotion Act. This act was under jurisdiction by the CASA, and the CASA also CASA Act. In NIS Act, there was descriptions on the space security and satellite security. Under Space Development and Promotion Act, there are many regulations and many articles on related comprehensive plan on satellite information utilization. And the government should establish also implement plan on the satellite information utilization. And government shall also establish the working committee on satellite information utilization. And the Space Development and Promotion Act also have an articles on the exclusive organization which organization is focusing on the satellite information utilization. And there was another article on satellite information security. Under the Space Development and Promotion, and there was a President decree. It described more detailed articles on related to this kind of issues. And under the National Intelligence Services Act, there is a work regulation. It's a kind of presidential decree. There is a space security work regulation. It was enhanced this April 13th, the Korean government enacted this space security work regulation. The space security work regulation contains on the articles on the National Space Security Center and National Satellite Information Operation Center and the Satellite Information Security Regulation. So the National Intelligence Services shall be describe more details on this satellite information security regulation. Under the present decree of the Space Development and Promotion Act, they also contains the articles on the comprehensive plan on satellite information utilization, implement plan, and working committee, and exclusive organization. That is described under the Act, and also more detailed provisions and articles on about the presidential in the present decree. And as I said before, under the CARSA also they have own act, but there is also present decree, and there is a regulation on CARSA and its affiliated agencies. In this regulation, there is an articles on National Space and Satellite Information Operations Center. So under this kind of charter, you can see some relations between the satellite information security that was described on the Space Development and Promotion Act. It is linked with the satellite information security regulation on the space security work regulation. So the National Intelligence Services and CASA shall make a cooperate with to make satellite information security regulations. Under these articles and provisions, as I said before, NIS and CASA shall be cooperate to make some more detailed regulation on satellite information security regulation. In my personal opinion, and when I meet the officers of the NIS and CASA, they have a difficulty in their new space era. There is a more needed public-private partnership, but the problem they have is the security regulations. So if NIS and CASA enhance their security regulation, it's very difficult to make the public-private partnerships. If they decrease the regulation standards, it is very difficult to make some kind of standardized security measures. So they have great difficulty to how to make a harmony between the security and guarantee public-private partnership under the satellite information security regulation. And as I said before, NIS, under the NIS and the space security work regulation, there is an article on the National Satellite Information Operations Center that is linked to the regulation on CASA and its affiliate agencies, National Satellite Information Operations Center. That is linked to two organizations. There is the operated by the cooperation between NIS and CASA. So this is the Korean legislation structure on the space information and satellite information, including the geography information. So more details I describe more details on under the other part of the slides. It is very forced to read my extra slides for your understanding. This is end of my slide, and thank you for hearing me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oh. I think it's a very nice presentation regarding the legal structure of the satellite information utilization in Korea. Okay, once again, thank you very much. And now it's time to start getting started on the Indian side.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we are having a talk from InSpace by Mr. Ganesh Mohan, who is currently serving as an assistant director in the promotion directorate, and he is the main person who is responsible for international outreach. He has a lot of experience in many different aspects of space, both within Department of Space and the ISRO. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for the welcome, Dr. Sujit. Let me just share my screen.
Yes, please. Can you please make it full screen?
Yes, sure. Is my screen visible?
It's perfect, yeah.
Right. Thanks a lot for the opportunity, and thanks a lot for the introduction. So the topic I'm covering here is on the space sector reforms that happened in India, and what is the role of InSpace in implementing those space sector reforms. So let me just move on with a basic introduction, which probably all the participants here would be aware of as to how the Indian space program has evolved over the last 6 decades or so. So right now, in line with the world, as you would agree with me, we are in a phase of commercialization where the importance of private sector actors are, cannot be understated in that sense. And Government of India, in line with this thought process, announced the space sector reforms. Now, before that, just a bit of background on ISRO. ISRO, as you would all aware, is the National Space Agency, and it's the main government agency as far as space R&D is concerned in India. It's a huge body with about 22,000 employees, out of which 13,000 are dedicated technical resources. There are about 14 centers with state-of-the-art infrastructure spread across the country. About 432 foreign satellites have been launched with about 96 launch missions. In fact, should be 97, adding the launch that happened just yesterday of SSLV. So the annual budget of ISRO is about $1.6 billion. So that's a basic information on our lead R&D center. But then going back to the point that I made about the importance of private sector and the importance of commercialization that is happening in the world across, the Government of India initiated the space sector reforms. Now, what do you mean by reforms? So the basic idea is that all space sector related activities is open now for the private sector in India. So these are the sort of the 6 major activities that happened with regard to the space sector reforms in India. So the first step was that a public sector undertaking, which is essentially a government-owned corporation called NSIL, established in 2019. Then in 2020, the Honorable Finance Minister announced the opening up of the space sector, followed by which another 1.5 odd years, InSpace was operationalized. Now, after the operationalization of InSpace, in about a year time, the Indian space policy was released. I'll talk about it a little bit in the subsequent slides. Now, this year beginning, we released the revised foreign direct investment policy. So the foreign direct investment policy has essentially been liberalized in that sense, which also I'll talk about a little bit in the coming slides. Now, finally, to bring a legal ambit to all of it, we of course need to have an act of parliament, which is the Space Activities Bill, and that is being worked upon as we speak, and we hope to get it passed through the parliament in the very near future. So this is more or less a nutshell of what has happened in the space sector reforms. Now let me deep dive into these a little bit. So to start off with, as I mentioned, the Indian space policy, which was released in early 2023, it's an overarching integrated policy which has tried to capture all the facets of space activities in a very holistic manner. So it's a short 13-page document, so to speak. But what we have tried to do there is to bring a formal language to all activities in space and defining the actors involved in the ecosystem and who is doing what in that sense. So the bottom line is, as I mentioned previously, there is absolutely no restriction for non-government entities to do any space sector activities, building satellites and rockets. We have a lot of companies who are doing this, as a matter of fact, and I'll speak about them a little bit in the coming slides. Launch, own, and operate space assets, delivering commercial services, then co-own the technologies with ISRO, Earth observation, data acquisition and dissemination, and finally, the companies can even set up their infrastructure within ISRO premise. So how are we enabling it is what I'll cover in the subsequent slide. So this is the basic aspect of the space policy, which you may kindly keep in mind as we move forward. So as I said, one of the most important aspect of space policy was to delineate the actors in the ecosystem, right? So we've essentially defined four types of actors. We have always ISRO, which, as I said, is a lead R&D center, and ISRO will focus as we go forward. Will focus more on the R&D and tech development part of it, also the infra development, and in a sense, share the best practices and the products and services that has been developed over the past decades or so to the NGEs. When I say NGEs, it essentially means non-governmental entities. And of course, the focus will be more on the science mission. There are plans for the subsequent moon missions. There is plan for setting up a dedicated space station by India. We're also in the works for developing an NGLV, a next-gen launch vehicle, to enable a seamless transportation between all what we are building in that sense. And then you have InSpace. InSpace essentially is an industry authorizer, which means all space activity under the legal jurisdiction of India will be authorized by InSpace. But because the space sector just got opened up and it's a nascent industry, it's a sunrise sector, so to speak, InSpace is a promoter. So we are hand holding and helping the companies find their feet and grow up into bigger commercial entities. And InSpace is aspiring to be a single window agency for all activities space in that sense. So right now, different ministries are involved in various capacities of your approval cycle. If you are a non-governmental entity, and if you were to let's say get an orbital slot or any of those space-related activities, and the plan is to evolve as a single window agency. And what you see below InSpace are two launch private sector launches that have happened from India. First one is by Skyroot, and the second is by a company called Agnikul. And then the third entity is New Space India Limited. It is, as I said, the commercial arm of the Department of Space. And the fundamental function of NSIL will be to commercialize the assets that are built on sovereign expenditure. So all ISRO assets will be commercialized through NSIL, in addition to, of course, taking up independent commercial activities. They are a full profit-making company in that sense. And leaving these three as the government entities in that sense, you have a huge industry ecosystem, about 50 plus large companies, about 450 plus MSMEs, and about 200 plus startups. And these MSMEs and large companies have grown along with ISRO in that sense over the past 6 decades. As I mentioned, they've been suppliers to ISRO, and they are well accustomed with the standards and best practices that are being followed in space sector. And now the whole idea is to enable them to be risk sharing industry partners and scale themselves up in order to find markets for their products and services in the world. So that's the whole idea. So moving on a bit on InSpace, how are we structured? InSpace is an autonomous entity, which means InSpace has a chairman and has a board of directors. So we are under the administrative ambit of the Department of Space, but functionally, we have a board of directors for InSpace. And then chairman InSpace is also the chairman of the board, and he is the head of InSpace in that sense. We have four different directorates. I represent the promotion directorate. It is headed by Dr. Vinod Kumar, and we're based in Bangalore, India. We have a program management and authorization directorate, which is headed by Dr. PK Jain, and they're based in Ahmedabad. So they essentially handle the authorization and regulation aspect of space. We have a technical directorate headed by Dr. Rajiv Jyoti. They're also based in Ahmedabad, and their job is essentially focusing on the technical aspects, including technology transfers, including the public-private model, which I'll speak about in a little bit. And finally, the legal, finance, and administration are handled by an admin division headed by a joint secretary level officer with the Government of India. So, four buckets of activities, if you were to, sort of encapsulate the areas where InSpace is working. First is as a promoter. So the main thing that we have done here is to set a decadal vision and strategy for the Indian space economy. This is available on our website for download. And that has sort of given us some numbers, some target numbers to work for in the next decade. So that sort of gives an aspiration of where the space economy should grow in the next 10 years, and all our activities going forward are to be tuned to this vision. Industry outreach, international outreach. Essentially, my role is international outreach in promotion directorate, and also work with the ministries and agencies to help generate demand for this bustling and growing economy of growing space sector companies in India. As an enabler, we do a transfer of technology, all the commercial worthy, technologically mature, mature technologies that are developed by ISRO. We have set up an administrative mechanism through which it will be transferred to the industries on a need basis. Access to facilities and expertise. The companies can access lab facilities of ISRO to conduct their tests, whatever it may be. We're also making available resident experts who are either serving or retired experts from ISRO to help help the companies who are growing with techno programmatic support. Facilitate funding. There are a slew of incentive schemes which we have developed. I'll cover a little bit in the subsequent slides. And finally, skill development. The base of it is to build a national space consciousness. So we are also working with a lot of academic institutes to ensure that the right set of future talent is coming up in the space sector in India. Authorizer, as I said, all space activities under the legal jurisdiction of India, be it from government, be it from private sector, will have to go through the same process of authorization by InSpace. So to facilitate it, we have just recently released an NGP document. NGP essentially means norms, guidelines, and procedures. It's again available in our website. So that's a document which gives an overall um, uh, idea, or rather details of the processes that one has to undergo in order to get authorization for any space activities. We've released a launch manifesto which gives certainty on the number of launches, including from the government and from the private sector over the next 2 years. And I mentioned the point on single window agency. There is a standing committee for interministerial coordination, which is chaired by InSpace. The fundamental purpose of this committee, as I said, is to aggregate the various ministries involved and formulate a single window agency, so that InSpace will receive the applications and in the back end work with the industries to ensure that a timely response is provided to the applicant. And finally, as supervisor, guidance to NGEs, facilitate design reviews, and overall oversee the project implementation. So for all of this, there is a background administrative mechanism set in place, and all these are pretty much in place in InSpace. So some of the statistics, some of the initiatives and outcomes, the NGP document, as I said, it is released and it is available on our website. I sincerely urge all of you to go through it so that you'll understand the kind of procedures required and the kind of clarity that we've tried to bring about in terms of authorizing and enabling a space activity from India. So these are some of the latest update. So in the recent space budget, hardly 2 weeks back, we have announced the setting up of 1,000 crore INR VC fund. It's for space startups. So the implementation of this fund, the modalities of implementing this fund or putting this money into the economy is being debated and finalized now. So we've released an expression of interest for establishing an Earth observation constellation in a public-private partnership model, where the government of India will take some stake of this, but essentially the constellation will have to be built, owned, and operated by the private sector entities in India. The available Indian orbital resources, we have released an announcement of opportunity for non-governmental entities in India if they want to build communication satellites and use this orbital resource. So this is live now. And for the startup level, we have a program called the Pre-Incubation and Entrepreneurship (PI), which is essentially to help develop new talents in the space startup ecosystem. So essentially TRL 1 to TRL 3, what is the support required? So that program is also live now. And we also have a seed fund scheme. 4 calls are out. The latest one being Marine, which is in progress. So this is just the latest update. So a few other areas, as I said, TOT. So two of the launch vehicles of ISRO, PSLV, is getting productionized through industry. It is led by NSIL. An industry consortium is taking up the manufacturing. SSLV, the small satellite launch vehicle, that's also undergoing a TOT phase, but SSLV is being run in an overall transfer, not just the manufacturing, but the overall design know-how is being transferred to the industries. So that is in the process now. The request for proposal is ongoing with the shortlisted NGEs. We're hoping to close the contract in the next few months. Now, other TOTs, about 68 are complete, and more technologies, about 90 plus applications are in progress. So more technologies and more applications are ongoing, and that's a process which is well set and running in space. So this is a design and technical center which we have set up in Ahmedabad for use by the NGEs. So it has essentially two parts. One is a design center where all softwares that you would need in terms of designing and analyzing the space systems are made available. This was inaugurated last year, and this year we complemented it with a technical center which has all the necessary technical infrastructure like the vibration test facilities, the clean rooms, design labs, etc. So all these are brought under one single roof, and the Indian NGEs are very actively using it. It is in Ahmedabad near our headquarters. Then a little bit of other parts. One is the a catalog of space standards. So Indian space standards are incorporated into the Bureau of Indian Standards, and InSpace is taking a lead role to implement it, so as to ensure that the companies can participate in global tenders and they are adhering to ISO or ISO equivalent standards in that sense. Um, EO consultation paper for space data. This is released, and the EO constellation that I mentioned in PPP mode is a follow-up of this. There's a coffee table book that we've prepared, which is sort of giving a summary of a selected 35, 36 industries from India. Design lab I already mentioned. DOS facility I mentioned. And finally, a very unique experiment called POEM. It is PSLV orbital experiment module. Essentially, the spend stage of PSLV, the PS4 stage, after separation, is being offered as an experiment platform for companies so as to qualify their products in a space environment. So two missions are complete, if I'm not mistaken. The third one is being planned as we speak. So that's a great opportunity for the companies to space qualify their hardware in a real space environment. And a slide on the foreign direct investment policy. As I mentioned previously, FDI was all under the government route, which means any FDI that you have to put into the Indian space sector had to go through the government phase. Now, in the liberalized policy, we have split between government and automatic. So the government route is where the government approval is required, but automatic is where it is a direct investment which the foreign entities can do with no government clearance needed, only an intimation is needed. So in satellite manufacturing, up to 74% is made automatic. In launch vehicle, up to 49% is automatic. And in any manufacturing of systems or subsystems, even ground segment for that matter, up to 100% is through automatic route now with the modified FDI policy, which was released in February and notified in April or May this year. So this is active now. Now, to bring this all into perspective, we have received around 500 plus applications from NGEs in the last hardly 2 years plus. You can see the breakup. It is spread across all the verticals and from all the types of companies, including startups and MSMEs and big companies. So far, we have signed around 58 MOUs. These MOUs are essentially for co-working with ISRO in various capacities, and we've issued around 40 authorizations. About 15 plus are in progress right now. So in terms of the space sector, as you could see, you can see an exponential increase in the number of startups since 2023. About 220 plus startups are there with us now. Investor confidence is also going up. We can see in the last year itself, around $138 million of investments have come into the Indian ecosystem. And this is my final slide. So as I said, India is open for cooperation in space sector in all aspects. The companies are free to do any activities in space sector. And so we are wholeheartedly looking for more partnerships. And thanks a lot. And it's a snapshot of all companies in here. Thank you for your patient listening. Thanks a lot. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for this very nice talk. I want to, this was such a short notice. I'm really sorry that our original speaker could not come because
You're muted, Professor Sujit, you're muted.
okay, I'm sorry. I'm thankful to you for giving this talk at such
Okay.
short notice
By the
because
way,
Vinod Kumar
I
had an
just
emergency,
missed
that's why
your
he could not
last
come.
comment
And
because
you've done a wonderful job at such a short notice. Thank you so much. And I'm really apologizing to everyone because there was a little emergency, and that's why Mr. Vinod Kumar could not come. And from the same institution, another speaker has come. So over to the Korean side now. Thank you.
okay, I missed the last comments because of a communication problem through the internet.
You're on
But
mute.
you said that the speaker was changed from Dr. Basu to the Dr. Mohan. Am I right?
Sorry?
I missed your last comment about the speaker.
Yeah, actually, Mr. Vinod Kumar could not. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you very well. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Vinod Kumar could not come for the talk because of some last-minute emergency.
Okay.
So we had Mr. Ganesh Mohan deliver the talk instead. So
Okay.
I was thanking him for doing this at such a short notice.
Yeah. His presentation was very wonderful, and we can broaden up a more understanding about the Indian the space program and infrastructure, and also the organization as well. Yeah. Now it's the Korean. It's time for Korean side, and our next speaker is Dr. Tae-byung Choi. He's the executive director of the National Satellite Operation and Application of KARI. However, he's now Dr. Choi cannot be join us right now. However, he sent us his pre-recorded the video containing his speech on the satellite data distribution policy and utilization in Korea. Even though he's not with us, his speech will be very fruitful for both sides, I believe. Now it's time to start his video.
Good afternoon. Let me introduce myself first. I'm Choi Tae-byung from the Korea Aerospace Research Institute, and I'm in charge of the Executive Director of National Satellite Operation and Application Center in KARI. I'm very happy to introduce Korea satellite data policy and use cases through a meaningful Korea-India National Academy of Engineering workshop today. But unfortunately, today I have to attend a meeting with the Korea Aerospace Administration at the Satellite Operations Center located in Jeju Island. As you know well, CASA was established in May this year, and there are many things about the works and roles between KARI and CASA. I'm also very sorry, but please understand that I had no choice but to present it through a video. Today, I will present Korea's satellite image data distribution policy and utilization status. I would like to present the following contents. First, I will introduce Korea's space R&D plan and national space roadmap, laws and regulations related to the space sector, CASA's guidelines for distributing satellite image data, and as a last, several satellite image utilization cases. I will briefly talk about Korea Aerospace R&D plan, governance, and national space development roadmap. The Korean government has established and implemented a mid to long-term basic plan to achieve the national R&D vision and goals in the aviation and space sectors. First, the aviation sector aims to become one of the world's 7 major aviation industry countries based on the basic plan for the development of the aviation industry by 2030. To this end, we are promoting infrastructure development for aviation R&D, advancement of market competitiveness, and MRO, maintenance, repair, and operations, UAM and AAM development, and creating an ecosystem and contributing to industry development with advanced R&D. The space sector aims to establish a basic plan for space development promotion from 2023 to 2027 and realize a global space economy country by 2045. To this end, we have prepared and are promoting implementation strategies such as expanding the space exploration area, completing space transport technology, and creating an ecosystem for the space industry. The National Space Council, chaired by the President, is the top decision-making body for Korea's space development strategies and policies. There are a number of space development-related ministries, and CASA, established in May 2024, will serve as a central organization for national space development. As a specialized research institute dedicated to space development and space exploration, CARI and CASI will carry out national missions for space development and continue to promote cooperation with domestic space companies, research institute, and university. Let me start by briefly introducing Korea's space program, especially the development of Earth observation satellite. The history of Korean satellite development is not yet 40 years old, but I think it has been a very aggressive and challenging long journey from KISSAT-1 in 1992 to COMSAT-7 today. Launched in 1999, the success of COMSAT-1 has been the driving force behind independent development, assuring in a new era to meet the national and commercial needs of spatial data infrastructure. In addition, we secured the foundation for the development of Korean satellite through a follow-up program, the COMSAT-2. Since then, Korea has achieved very fast success in space core technology research and development over the past 20 years, and CARI has played a key role in Korea. As the demand for satellite images increases, a high-performance, medium-sized satellite series was also planned to reflect the needs of major utilization ministries. The CAS 501 is currently in orbit, and a follow-up satellite is preparing to launch in 2025. Recently, we are also exploring the possibility of developing small constellation satellites based on the new space paradigm. In addition, Korea has geostationary satellites equipped with atmospheric, environmental, and ocean color monitoring sensors. As the development of Korea Earth observation satellite has been led by the government, data distribution and utilization have mainly supported the public sector, such as the government and local government, but institutional policies have been prepared and implemented to promote private-initiated commercialization and utilization. In particular, CASA and CARI plan to work more closely in the operation and dissemination of the national Earth observation satellite information. Through the following chart, I will present laws and regulations related to satellite information in Korea. Korea has enacted and operated three major laws. These three laws are the Space Development Promotion Act, Space Liability Act, and National Spatial Information Act. Korea's legal framework for space development typically consists of a basic plan to achieve the national vision, the formation of the National Space Council, the designation of a space development agency, and measures to obtain and manage satellite information. In addition, in order to apply international space laws, we are enacting domestic enforcement ordinance on the registration of a space object, permission to launch, and return of a space object, etc. This chart shows a brief schematic diagram of the legal system related to space and satellite information in Korea. The highest standard include the Space Development Promotion Act, Space Liability Act, and National Spatial Information Act, and presidential and ministerial directives are enacted according to the necessary purpose. The Space Development Promotion Act aims to promote peaceful use and scientific exploration of space by systematically promoting space development and efficient use and management of space objects, and contribute to national security, sound development of the national economy, and improvement of people's life. The Space Liability Act aims to protect victims and contribute to the sound development of national space R&D programs by determining the scope and limit of liability in case of space damages or accident. The Framework Act on National Spatial Information aims to contribute to the development of the national economy by rationally using national land and resources by prescribing matters related to the efficient construction, comprehensive use, and management of the national spatial information system. Today, I'd like to talk about the dissemination and utilization of spatial information. In Article 17 of the Space Development Promotion Act, CASA may designate a dedicated organization to promote the distribution and utilization of satellite image data. Currently, CARI is designated as a dedicated organization for these missions in Korea. In addition, in order to efficiently distribute and use satellite image data, CASA stipulates the following by presidential decree. To summarize these, establishment of an integrated system to support the distribution and use of satellite images, reception, processing of satellite data and public provision, reproduction and sale of satellite data, etc. These were enacted in presidential decree. The reproduction and sale of satellite image data are specified in Article 19.5 of the Presidential Decree as well. CASA is able to provide or sell the reproduced or processed satellite image data to the users, subject to the security clauses dealing with permission or prohibition of the satellite image provision for the security region. In addition, CASA should define the details of the provision and sale of satellite image data as ministerial ordinance. Ministerial Ordinance number 211 defines the security management of satellite information. In accordance with Article 10, classification of satellite data. Satellite image data shall be classified and managed as confidential, restricted, and public class. Ministerial Ordinance number 245 defines the promotion and utilization of satellite information. In accordance with Article 12, satellite image data shall be distributed and disseminated for both public and private sectors. And in accordance with Article 22, the specialized body shall consult in advance with CASA in case of selling satellite images to the countries which may influence international peace and national security. In this chart, I will briefly explain about CASA's satellite image data distribution guidelines. In accordance with the legal standards presented before, CASA has established guidelines for the distribution of satellite image data. The main objectives and basic principles of these guidelines are promotion of export of satellite image data, prevention of dispute arising domestically or internationally in case of exporting satellite image data, conformity to the international standard on satellite image export, cooperation with friendly nations, and utilization of satellite image data for the peaceful purpose. Under these basic guidelines, CASA has the authority to approve satellite data export. If it is necessary, CASA will do the consultation with relevant security department. This chart shows a brief description of the approval criteria established by CASA. Depending on the end user, several steps and criteria are considered. The affiliation or country information of the end user is reviewed according to the denial list provided by the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy. This list will be updated in consideration of UN resolution, diplomatic relations with the Korean government, etc. This is the criteria according to the requested resolution level. For optical and SI image data, government approval is required if it exceeds 0.5 meters. For infrared and hyperspectral image data, all image data must be approved by government. And all direct reception service contract with foreign countries must be approved in advance by Korean government as well. This is the criteria according to the area of interest. In the case of image data taken over Korean Peninsula and specific requests from certain country and countries or specific areas where a treaty has been signed with the Korean government, prior approval must be required. In other cases, there are no more restrictions. Next, the criteria for delivery time. This is the case about real-time or semi-real-time delivery request. If delivery time is required within 24 hours from the data reception, government approval must be required. As a last, there are standards based on the level of image processing. We are distributing radiometric corrected and geometric corrected image data as a standard product. However, if Any user requests level 0 image data corresponding to the raw data. This request is classified as a sensitive request and is subject to government approval. This chart shows a hierarchical representation of procedures according to the CASA's guideline. Typically, if the user request contains direct reception service, sensitive countries or territory, user's AUI containing Korean territory, resolution and delivery time within specific reference value, and image processing level, CARI will determine whether the image data is able to be distributed in accordance with CASA's approval process. This slide shows a commercial order management system. The management system provides the ability to manage order history and sales history and to share the government export approval process. Using this system, the government approval process and its result for each image request from end users are provided and user convenience is improved. I will introduce service platform for public sectors, commercialization status of concept image data, and some use cases. I'd like to introduce the current status of utilization in the public sector. Currently, 36 central government agencies and local governments are affiliated with the Satellite Information Utilization Council. This council is a special organization to support government agencies responsible for various fields such as agriculture, forestry, marine, fisheries, land, environment, and disaster management. These public users can only access through a pre-approved terminal for security management reasons. And they can search for stored image data or new acquisition requests through this platform. This chart represents the national disaster management system and procedures around the council. In the event of disaster, a comprehensive process for image requesting and acquiring is initiated at request of each department in charge. The acquired satellite image data and its analysis results are shared with all organizations by using same platform. This is to share the information to immediately identify the cooperation needed to respond to the disasters. The right side shows an example of disaster management from 2019 to 2022. In accordance with the procedure described above, the Council tried to acquire satellite image in damaged area and shared the analysis result with all affiliated organizations. The following shows the commercial sale and distribution of satellite image data in progress. Currently, CASA and CARI operate ComSat image data sales representatives, which are consisting of 3 domestic companies. SIIS, Contact, and GeoStory hold the commercial sales and distribution license for ComSat 3, ComSat 3A, and ComSat 5. The procedure from image request to delivery is quite general operation procedure, but the only different thing is the dedicated web-based portal to be able to easily access satellite image data and database by private users. It is a web-based satellite image portal, which name is KSATDB for supporting private user. Anyone can easily access our satellite image data and information through the URL listed below. From now on, I will introduce several use cases of ComSat image data. The Ministry of Environment is using high-resolution optical image data, such as COMSAT-3 and 3A, to produce and update land cover maps, which are used for analysis of land use changes. The Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs utilized COMSAT imagery for creating and updating smart farm maps to manage agricultural information. As part of its practical technology support for the ministry, CARI has been developing technology for detecting and analyzing agricultural facilities using COMSAT imagery and deep learning techniques. CARI is developing technology to detect industrial complexes and chimneys in South Korea using COMSAT image data and deep learning technology to support the detection of air pollution emission sources by the National Institute of Environmental Research. It is a use case of Statistics Korea we called COSTAT. COSTAT is a central organization for statistics, and it aims at promoting services of overall planning and coordination of national statistics. The Statistics Korea annually surveys and publishes its statistical information on rice cultivation and crop cultivation areas using remote sensing technology. The Korea Forest Service Agency uses various satellite images, including COMSAT, to quickly respond to disasters such as forest fires and landslide. In the event of large-scale forest fires, CARI had to do the best effort to acquire and provide COMSAT image data with highest priority. Korea Hydrographic and Oceanographic Agency uses COMSAT image data for marine territory management and marine information creation and conducts marine debris analysis using COMSAT data in island areas that are difficult to access. Recently, satellite utilization companies have been developing satellite image analysis platforms. Through these platforms, they aim to provide services such as ship detection and illegal building detection using various satellite image data. Ursa Space in United States is a company specializing in artificial intelligence-based satellite image analysis. Ursa Space develops and provides various business models such as port monitoring and oil tank monitoring using diverse satellite image data. As an example, they has been using COMSAT-5 image data to analyze disasters such as flood since 2018. Satellite images can be very useful for monitoring and analyzing the progress and changes of a large-scale construction site. It is one of use case for construction site monitoring in Qatar port. We used COMSAT-2 and COMSAT-3 images to monitor construction site over 2013 to 2016. It is my last chart, and this figure shows our collaboration between CARI and Busan Technopark. In cooperation with Busan Technopark in Korea, CARI has been developing technology to automatically detect container boxes around Busan port using deep learning techniques. Thank you so much for your attention. So far, I have presented Korea's data policy on satellite information, our efforts to improve accessibility to satellite image data by the private and public sectors, and the current use cases. Once again, I am very pleased to have the opportunity to present at this workshop today. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Dr. Che is not with us right now. However, if you Indian side has some question about his speech, just let us know, and we'll deliver your question to Dr. Che, and you can get an answer later on. Okay, now it's the end of second speech of Korean side. Now it's a turn to Indian side again.
Yeah, thank you. The last talk was very interesting and gave a very nice overview of the activities in Korea and the framework with which they're done. The next talk is by Mr. Prateek Basu. He is the founder and the chief executive officer, CEO of SatSure, a space tech and AI-based startup out of Bangalore. It's upcoming company, and this talk is on Earth observation and the commercialization paradigm from imagery to intelligence. The floor is all yours, Dr. Basu.
Hi. Um, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to rejoin because it seems like my sharing preferences were different on Webex. Just give me a minute, please.
Dr. Sujit, he's going to be
Yes.
back.
Sorry?
Your speaker is out of out of the screen. So
he had to log out and rejoin because something went wrong with the
okay, technical problem.
Yeah, I mean, he said he'll log out and come right back.
Okay.
Because of technical.
Yes. Put in the chat box. Gee, can you make me speaker?
Yeah.
INAU HQ, can you just see whether there's any problem?
Yeah. ANA.
Yeah, Dr. Basu, you are already the speaker. Yeah, you may start. You have all the privileges and the rights. So,
Yeah. Okay. Your screen is coming up. Now you can maximize it and get going with it. Thank you. Awesome. You are on mute, I think. I cannot hear you. I can see your slides well.
Am I audible now?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, apologies for the small glitch. I had to install the WebEx app separately, and that's why the preferences got changed. Anyway, it's my privilege and pleasure to be presenting about the Earth observation industry today. And while I'm representing the industry here, I'll not be speaking too much about what we are doing at SatSure, rather presenting my views on how the entire satellite Earth observation industry is changing from the previously data oriented business to more intelligence oriented business, intelligence that is derived from the data. So this is how my talk is going to be structured, where I'll first introduce the value chain from a business perspective. What are the different commercialization avenues that companies are tapping into, both the existing companies as well as startups, and then how the transition from imagery to intelligence is happening. What are the different business models, and what are the future outlook for the sector? So this is a brief structure of my presentation. So let me begin with first describing a bit of the value chain. So what happens is, so my personal background is also from space technology, but not in remote sensing. I used to work in ISRO from a liquid propulsion side. So it's a bit of a surprise to most of my older colleagues that how I ended up starting a company that is doing remote sensing. But that's primarily because the remote sensing entire value chain is so large. It actually touches the lives of people. So we start from the point of data, the data generation that even previously the speaker was highlighting the different processes, etc. from data generation to the final solution, where the end user doesn't even know that or have to know probably if this insight or intelligence has come from some satellite imagery. It cuts across a lot of different industry segments, lot of different technologies, and that's one of the most interesting things that I find about the earth observation data value chain. So when we are speaking of satellite image generation, so we are speaking of the upstream manufacturing, satellite payload development, the entire pre-processing chain creation. But when we are looking at managing this entire huge amount of data, because if you are designing a satellite for 5 to 7 years on a daily basis, you might be generating anywhere between 1 terabyte to 10 terabyte data. So managing that in a way that it can be easily queried, it can be easily integrated into another platform, etc., can be quite complex. And on top of that, we are today seeing a lot of different analytics being generated using even basic object segmentation or classification and chain detection on top of these particular features. Now, from analytics to insights and insights to solution, this is something which most people don't speak about. We assume that analytics is the end of it, but just analytics of change detection doesn't necessarily give the end value to a customer. So how do you change that into an insight through integration with different kinds of data? How do you create an application out of it by building user journeys specific to a particular problem? And that is where the earth observation industry is going. So if you look at the different use cases that earth observation industry caters to, many of them have been let's say traditionally been done, like for example in agri insurance or in urban planning. These are not new applications of earth imaging. However, the ways to do it have changed, and that is what is making this shift from imagery to intelligence. So for example, if we are speaking of today urban planning, which would mean that creating high resolution digital surface models, digital terrain models, if you already have habitation areas there, feature extraction of the roads, the buildings, etc., all of this earlier would be done on very high resolution imagery using human in the loop. Whereas today, with the advent of better computer vision and machine learning techniques, we are able to do this in an automated manner with minimal loss in the precision and in a very short amount of time. So if we look at the different application, the pandora of applications that earth observation industry is today enabling, especially due to also a lot of open data which the community uses, we have so much of research and commercialization happening on the climate risk, forest management, water resource, like any kind of natural resource management domain. So on the how is the commercialization of this data happening? Let me dive a bit deeper into this. So this particular chart essentially distributes the industry into upstream, midstream, downstream. Upstream is what the data generation part is, where you do the infrastructure creation, manufacturing of satellites, ground stations, etc. Midstream is where you are acquiring the data, ground stations, and doing the data pre-processing and distribution. Whereas downstream today is quite fragmented, like what I was explaining, the difference between analytics, insight, and application. This essentially has today if you look at the market structure across the upstream, midstream, and downstream, the upstream and midstream market in earth observation, as per market research reports, is about 1.7 billion dollars, whereas if we look at the total market size, it is 4.5 billion dollars. So 62% of the total market even today of an earth observation is actually in the downstream domain, where the services, value added services like analytics, insights, etc., are what's generating this revenue. However, the market is actually shifting quite a lot. So this is not just one source that I've quoted, geospatial media. Most of the market research firms have also noted that the current $5.4 billion worth industry is very well on the mark to grow almost 8 times in the next 10 years to just above $32 billion. And why is this happening? This is because the explosion of the data and the convergences of technologies that we spoke about: cloud, AI, edge, etc. So if we look at how this 32 billion is going to be distributed, about 80% of the market is expected to be in the services and data products from the current 62%. So further shift into downstream is happening, and that 80% of the market would be actually captured across the key four pillars, which is the data processing on cloud. So basically companies like Google, AWS, they are leveraging a lot of this, they are today part of the ecosystem, I would say. The ease of data integration and application development, which is primarily system integrators who are taking satellite imagery and integrating into different applications that are widely used, like SAPs and Oracles, etc., which helps to create some BI, business intelligence reporting, on top of it. Then comes the entire data management and platform services, meaning that companies who are uh, providing the services to create value addition on top of earth observation imagery, meaning that these are orchestrated platforms with tooling for handling earth observation data and making more sense out of it. And finally, solutions that leverage advanced AI, ML, and analytics. So while this looks like a very rosy picture, that from 4.5 billion we can actually move the industry to 32 billion in just about 10 years, there are a lot of questions that people have across the value chain. And this is coming more from my personal experience as an entrepreneur running SatSure for the last 7 years. And we are present in 12 countries, having more than 160 people workforce. And yet we find that across this entire value chain, there are some key questions still unanswered, which is, in our opinion, the major roadblock to shift the paradigm from imagery to intelligence. Starting from satellites, the satellites that we are launching, there are two breeds that we see. One is the traditional high value, long gestation period, big satellites like worldviews of the worldviews and Pleiades, which will cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and it also takes good amount of time to build it. Whereas then you have the smaller frame satellites, which have inferior resolution than the others, but have a higher refresh frequency. But despite all of this, you still see that somewhere, when we're looking at covering large assets, you know, thousands of kilometers of let's say roads or power lines, we are not able to do the image capture on a timely basis. We cannot do the fusion easily of two different data sources. So from an end user perspective, despite the presence of huge number of EO satellites, commercial and open, these challenges become real as we try to actually meet commercial SLAs. Then there is a complete lack of awareness in the final end user. When I say final end user, it is, these are organizations that are not traditional remote sensing users. For example, banks, or for example, some kind of power utility. They have used LiDAR, they have used aerial image capture, but they don't know what EO, Earth observation, can and can't do. So a lot of time is spent in building the market up. When it comes to generating analytics, you know, we, even though we may have the huge amount of data, the quality of data is at best today questionable that's available. So there are satellite systems which have poor SNR. There are satellite systems which are not providing the proper, let's say, L3 products, which is orthorectified products. We are getting only the geometrically or radiometrically corrected products. Similarly, sometimes we don't have the right kind of or same standards, data standards being maintained by two different operators, so fusion becomes a problem. So these are all genuine challenges. I can keep going on and on. I'll move forward and happy to answer questions as I finish. So the key challenges and barriers to commercialization that we see at a very high level are essentially bucketed into three. data quality and accessibility issues, which I highlighted earlier, the economic viability and cost factors. Now, this is a very important one. We have some very good quality data sets, but they are extremely expensive and they can't be necessarily used by all types of users. Government, probably yes. Private companies may not be. Even if they have a problem, they have a need, you can't serve them. Similarly, if you have very cheaply available data, that quality may not be good. So there is a trade-off that companies at the upstream are making, which is not allowing the downstream to flourish. So this entire aspect of connecting both the demand and supply becomes extremely essential to unlock this transition to from imagery to intelligence. And obviously there are continues to be legal and regulatory let's say asymmetries across different countries, and that's something which also needs to be addressed by the global community, because we are capturing data on a global basis, but then our distribution of it becomes subject to different differing laws across each country. We understand every country will have their own law, but there should be similarities in the way it is constructed. Otherwise there is definitely barrier to the commercialization. So moving to the next part of my conversation, I have already described the value chain, the key challenges, the overall market opportunity. So what does imagery to intelligence transition exactly mean? Without going into the details, this is just a snapshot of our agri product stack, where we have used openly available Sentinel-2, Sentinel-1 data and Landsat data to be able to create different kind of data products. When I say data products, so essentially it is time series modeling to identify the crops, their potential, their production, can monitor their health, monitor the water patterns at a very small geographic level, identify rate indicators like progression of sowing, progression of harvesting, prediction of sowing, prediction of harvesting, all of this, tillage, etc. These are the different derived products that become commercially what we call as insights. Meaning, why do we need to know how much tillage has happened? Because it gives us a signal of how much planting will happen and how is that above or below the usual planting areas. This is a very important indicator for governments to create their contingency plans, communicate to the farmers. This is an important indicator for commodity traders to estimate what could be the like have an early signal to the area and production statistics, which helps them to hedge. So things like this, each one, the translation of satellite imagery into such kind of data products is the first step, which is the insight step. In order to do that, there needs to have specialized tools, software tools to enable this. Now this is something which most companies were not offering. So we use for example AWS cloud. So AWS cloud is a general infrastructure, it is not a geospatial infrastructure. There is no geospatial infrastructure, unfortunately, so we had to build one for ourselves, where the data orchestration, cataloging, data ops tooling, etc., we had to essentially build all of this ourselves. The next and why is this important, these two steps to translate into intelligence? Because without the necessary means, the transition from pure play data to such data products will never happen. And how are these data products also getting into some kind of final application? That I can actually show you on a live basis. Just this is from a SatSure side. I'll open as a demo so that people can. I hope my screen is visible, sir.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so I highlighted the entire cloud DevOps and MLOps part. I highlighted the data insights and data products part. So I'll now just take you to an application portal. This is our portal used by banks. So in this, the bankers are actually trying to reduce their time taken for providing loans to farmers and having a better perception of risk. So what I'm just filtering through is the land records information. So if I go over this, I selected a particular land. I went to that land. This is an integration of land data, nothing to do with remote sensing. The credit officer in this case, who is the user, verifies with the farmer whether this particular land belongs to him. This is his land, and then he creates a request to our platform. So when the request goes to our platform, it takes me to this explorer, and I'll just open for our purposes here a report that is generated instantly from our backend platform, which tells us about, first of all, this is the farm which we are looking at. It gives us a risk score, just like a credit score. This is a farm risk score. This farm risk score is actually a combination of the data products I showed earlier. What are the cropping types, irrigation, how many times cropping is happening, what is my weather, groundwater and rainfall and temperature trends, etc. And then arbitrary market infrastructure information. This is a solution. What I showed earlier was their data products, and this solution is enabled because I am able to go through 569 million farm records in a matter of a seconds and pull this information by running some algos on the fly as well, not just stored data. So uh, going back to the presentation here, this is how the transition from imagery to intelligence is happening, where you are opening up newer markets. So when we look at what are the business models and strategies, so we as a company SatSure are falling in that application category, but we actually own like each part of the chain, whether it's the data platform on the cloud with all the data orchestration cataloging, whether it is the data insight part or even the data generation part. Our first satellites are being launched next year, and then we have a fleet of 4 satellites being launched next year. So essentially that's how SatSure is evolving. But there are many companies who actually are part of different value chains. Some of them are only data generators like Maxar or Planet or ISI. Some of them are also into the infrastructure, like I mentioned, AWS and or GCP. Whereas there are only companies which are marketplaces, aggregators. This beautiful chart is prepared by a freelance consultant called Mr. Arvind Ravichandran. So I have credited him here, not made by me. So companies like 42 Skywatch Watch are all aggregator platforms, because what they do is just take the imagery from different data generators and do the distribution. So their main thing is distribution and sales. Whereas there are companies who are in the almost SaaS mode, like what I just showed you. We are almost a SaaS company where we are providing this kind of soft, it's a final solution along with different insights, etc. that is available. So when you look at what are the key business models, so one is the data as a service model, second is the platform as a service model. So this evolution from data sales or data reseller sales to data as a service is actually enabled by the platform building and the data management practices that are coming into place. Obviously the practices are still not standard, and that is a matter of discussion definitely in the industry. But a data as a service model, it essentially offers subscription based data or subscription data, and one user can subscribe to variety of different data sets, whether it is optical or radar or hyperspectral, etc. So this gives the users a flexibility to go to one place, an aggregation point, and get the data based on the area of interest. Whereas if you look at how it operates commercially, these are all licensing agreements, and essentially these licensing agreements are locked by geography, and they have like back-to-back arrangements between the end user and the satellite operators, facilitated by the aggregator. Similarly, we have platform as a service model, where you are able to create customizable analytics for end users. In these kind of platform as analytics model, you can process, analyze, and visualize large amount of EO data sets, combining the different data sources and applying various algorithms. It also many of the platforms allow the third-party applications integrations like Esri, ArcGIS. You can plug into different tools, and vice versa. You can plug your APIs into ArcGIS Cloud. So this these are the two most important business models today that are helping in that particular transition into intelligence sector. And finally, we look at the outlook. What are the key trends that are actually enabling this transition? Whether it is the evolution of the business models, like what I described in the previous slides, or the increasing sensor, data fusion capability that companies are targeting. Uh, and more digitization and workflow integration. For example, what I demonstrated as a demo of our banking platform, that would never be possible if the digital land records, farmer linkages, etc. are not available. So it is not just EO data, but the combination of different data sets that needs to come together to solve a big problem. In this case, the big problem is financial inclusion of smallholder farmers. How do you enable fast loans, like from 30 days to 30 minutes? You bring down that time to give a loan, and make sure that even the smallest farmers with land have access to institutional credit. So this Earth observation industry and its transition becomes a part of the larger digital transformation of every other sector. That's how the entire industry is moving. And obviously, there are other like tailwinds, such as the transition to enterprise solutions, improving policy and regulatory environment globally, especially in developing markets like India, and the overall movement of the market from 4.5 billion to above $30 billion is hallmarked by some sectors that have a large requirement. Now, defense intelligence has always been the largest user. Everyone knows that. But there is also increasing usage in agriculture, in financial services, and also in disaster management. So this is a short presentation of how, from as an entrepreneur, I'm seeing the industry transition. What are the key drivers of this transition, and what are the key challenges also that we are seeing from the front seat, to as the industry expands beyond the traditional data generation and data sales mode. Thank you. This is Pradeep Basu, and I'm happy to answer any questions if there are.
Yeah, thank you, Pratik Basu. The questions will be taken up at the end of the sessions, and I request everybody to type them in the chat box. Thank you for this very nice talk on this, how we are moving from data to intelligence with heavy computing and cloud computing and analytics and all that. Now over to the Korean side.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Sujis. And also thanks very much for Dr. Basu for your nice presentation. I think it will broaden my understanding about the EO commercialization and data processing, etc. Okay, our final speaker for this session is Dr. Hyojin Yang, and she is a senior researcher at the National Land Satellite Center of National Geographic Information Institute. That is this institute is affiliation of Ministry of Land and Infrastructure and Transport. Today she will present on the first satellite mission for public application and services in South Korea. Please welcome to Dr. Yang.
Thank you for introducing me, Chair. Let me first share my screen. Okay. Okay. Hello, my name is Hyojin Yang from National Mapping Agency in South Korea called National Geographic Information Institute. First of all, it is very glad to have presentations about our satellite and our achievement in this seminar. As you know, the topic of session 2 is policy for processing and utilizing satellite images in private sectors and examples of use of satellite imagery in various fields. Therefore, I prepared the presentations about our satellite CAS 500 first and second. It is the first satellite missions for public applications and service in South Korea. I think my presentation will be a little bit more practical one than the previous presentations. Currently, more than 10,000 of satellites are orbiting the Earth. South Korea had started to develop a satellite since 1990s. There are famous satellite series such as low Earth orbit COMSAT and geostationary COMSAT. As introduced in the previous presentations, LEO COMSAT have been mostly operated for the national security, and the geostationary COMSAT has been operated for atmospheric, environmental, and ocean applications. Recently, compact advanced satellite 500 have been planned to develop in order to satisfy the various public application proposed. South Korea's middle-sized satellite series COS 500 has been developed since 2015. 500 means the weight of the satellites. There are two proposed to develop COS 500 satellite series. First one is to satisfy public demands about high-resolution satellite imageries. This can improve the accessibilities of satellite imageries and expand our applications and industrial field of image processing, we believe. Second is to reduce the cost and time for building a new satellites by the development of standard platforms. The below figure is the standard platforms of COS 500 satellite series. Sorry. The standard platform has been developed by Korea Aerospace Research Institute, KARI, and it carries various payload for their own application purpose. As you can see, the below figures, there are 5 COS 500 satellites developed or under development. First and second satellite rolled high-resolution optic sensors for rent monitoring. The third is validations of space technology such as Korean launcher. And fourth, rolled medium resolutions optic sensors for the forest and agricultural monitorings. And fifth, rolled synthetic aperture radar sensors for water hazard monitoring. Among them, this presentation is about the first and second satellites of COS 500 satellite series. These two satellites jointly funded by Ministry of Science and ICT and Ministry of Land, Infrastructures and Transport. And it has been developed by KARI. The missions of this satellite is periodic monitoring of land and its changes. Moreover, the mission is recovering the rapid response for the disasters and conducting the special geospatial information data. COS 500 first satellite launched in March 2021. Second will be launched in next year. Both satellites are operated by one institute, our institute, NGII, our institute belonging to the Ministry of Land, Infrastructures and Transport. So let me introduce our institute first. NGII develop and enact policies for the geospatial informations, and we collect, manage, and distribute national geospatial informations. National Land Satellite Center is one department of NGII, and now we operate a COS 500 first satellite. NGII records the changes of a national landscape through aerial photographs and satellite imageries, and we produce very qualified image product, such as the also rectified image, the national map, and the three-dimensional digital elevation models. Again, I want to emphasize our satellite missions and its specifications. It is aimed to measure the Earth's surface for monitoring land use, natural resource, disaster, and supporting mapping. Currently, the satellite imagery is free access by online for the only South Korea domestic users. The satellite has sun-synchronous orbit and one panchromatic band with 0.5 meters resolutions and 4 multispectral bands with 2-meter resolutions. Also, it has a 12 kilometers swath, and the mission life will be maybe 4 years or more. The first satellite was launched in March 22nd, 2021, and now under regular operations. Second satellite will be launched next year. Two identical satellites will be operated together to get more information on the Earth's surface. The single satellite can observe the Earth's surface by stream mode and spot mode or multipass stereo imaging mode. It can record the Earth's surface 5 minutes per orbital plane and 25 minutes per day. If we start to operate two satellites simultaneously, we can conduct multipass stereo images within very short period, and it will support mapping more efficiently. Let me introduce our product. In order to provide qualified satellite imageries, we process them and provide in 4 different processing levels. Level 1 data is basically processed 1. Level 2 is very precisely processed product. I will talk about it in more detail in later. Level 3 is called analysis ready data. With this data, the user do not need to do any more pre-processings for the analysis. Level 4 data is defined as classified and object extracted, change detected informations. As I said, level 2 data is very precisely processed data. For the geometric corrections, we use ground control point to improve geometric accuracies. And we also remove geometric distortions element based on the digital elevation models. Those all corrections are automatically applied to our satellite imageries, and the products are generated. The detailed process follow the chart. Recently, many users are very interested in the analysis-ready data because if you can use analysis-ready data, then you don't need to do further pre-processing for analysis, and you can use various time series satellite imagery immediately. With the considerations of CAD4L's definitions from COS and the characteristics of higher resolution satellite imageries, we defined our analysis-ready data products described in the tables. Our analysis-ready data product is immediately usable for land monitoring in terms of 1 to 5,000 map scales, mapping grade, and interoperable with other satellite imageries and geospatial informations. Our product is free access via NGII's geospatial data platforms, but it is only for South Korean domestic users. A user can find any information about satellite and download satellite imageries and metadata. Moreover, this platform support to search newest imagery of the lesion of interest. The satellite periodically conduct imagery database for Korea Peninsula, and moreover, the significant areas of interest such as calibrations and validation site, disaster area, conservative or development area over the entire world. Since the regular operations of first satellite in 2021, the satellite imagery, more than 5 million square kilometers of the Earth's surface had been taken by the satellites, and 1.2 million scenes downloaded via online platforms. The yellow spots were the area of most interest. Those satellite imageries are used to monitor land and its changes. The imagery record the current status of land use, infrastructures, and environmental resources. To control the controlled and accumulated imageries are basis for the change detections of the land. Recently, we apply automatic classifications and detecting algorithms such as machine learning and deep learning algorithms in order to reduce the time and effort to analyze them. Mostly, we classify the scene to the urban or rural area or vegetations or waters in the in the left figures. And we detect most interesting objects on the Earth's surface, like a building and land, like in the light figures. We also use the satellite imagery to conduct a national digital map and digital elevation models. Basically, we use aerial photographic imagery for the national map, but some area cannot access by the airplane. So we use the stereo imagery for mapping. Moreover, we use image matching algorithms to generate the three-dimensional geospatial information like digital elevations model on the left figures. Satellite imagery is very powerful to monitor and manage disasters such as wildfire and landslide. In order to support disaster management, we designed the Geospatial 911 service. Geospatial 911 provide the satellite imageries before and after disaster with other geospatial information such as digital map and digital elevation models. Since 2021, we actively use our satellite to serve the Geospatial 911 service. For the disaster in South Korea, we deliver our data within 1 to 3 days after disaster to manage and recover the disasters. These are the cases which we provide the Geospatial 911 for the disaster in 2020 to 2022. For the wildfire, we analyze the damaged area using image processing technologies to identify the area. For the landslides on the bottom, we reconstruct the elevation models from the imageries and provide them together with the satellite imagery to manage and recover the disasters. We provide the satellite imageries for the disaster with the value-added informations. Based on the image processing methodologies, we combine band images, then generate pseudo images to identify damaged area, and it combined to other geospatial informations. When we provided those kind of informations, the public users, such as a government on the disaster side, they use the data for the decision makings. As one of examples, our local government used our data to produce the landslide thematic maps as shown on the right bottoms. The geospatial 911 service is done through the online platforms, and it is not only information but also the toolbox. As we support the overlappings or comparing and reporting to the public users. Satellite can access to anywhere around the world, so it is the most powerful aspect of a satellite, I think. And it is very powerful to manage disasters. Therefore, we joined to the International Charter. International Charter is international organizations to support the disaster around the world with the satellites. NGII is the data distributors in the International Charter. So we already support some satellite imagery to the countries which have servant disasters. So we hope to take an active role in support emergency response effort around the world, and collaborate with other space agencies and authorized users to advance the field of disaster management and response. This is the imagery we took when there was a big earthquake with a 7.4 magnitude in Turkey in 2023. We support those data to the countries and the supporters from the South Koreas. This is another images for the Antakyas, Turkey. In that period, we provide those imagery to the supporters from the South Korea government and to the Turkey countries, Turkey's Republic of Turkey. This imagery is about Libya, which had been damaged by the flood. With the comparison to the Google Earth, we could find the effect of big flood in Derna, Libya. We also provided this data to the country for the disaster management. We also consider the various ways to work together in our countries and inter-countries. One of the things is the Official Development Assistance Project. Our institute have helped to conduct nationwide imageries maps for the developing countries. So we plan to support those projects with our satellite. We think our satellite can contribute to those projects and that countries. Here is the summaries. Our satellite mission is monitoring land use and natural resource, manage disasters, and support mapping. Our product is available online and it is free for South Korean domestic users right now. We are considering various ways to contribute to the world issues and collaborations with other partners. Our mission is extending our product and service of satellite imageries for the public applications. It is based on the successful operations of CAS 500 first and second satellites successful operations. If you need any collaborations or will have to use the data, please let us know. Then we can do some collaborations or do some co-work. This is my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Dr. Yang, I believe this is very nice presentation regarding the current activity of National Geographic Information Institute. Now it's time to turn to the Indian side. Professor Satish.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. And this was a really interesting talk by Dr. Yang on this, how this satellite information is used for public application and service in South Korea. Really interesting, and hope eventually we'll have good collaborations. Now, the next talk is on cloud-based processing and analytical platform for agriculture, water, urban, and forest monitoring using Earth observation data. This is also a very interesting talk. This is the last talk of the day. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Nikhilesh Kumar could not join due to some issues. His co-author in this paper, Dr. Saptarishi Mondal, is here and has agreed to kindly present this at a short notice. Saptarishi Mondal also is from Vasa Labs. I will give the online floor to Dr. Mondal. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Sri. So I'll present my screen.
Yes.
Is my screen visible to audience?
Really good. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, and AI. And yeah, so my CEO is supposed to join this session, but unfortunately is somehow able to join. Myself, Dr. Saptarshi Mandal, I'm working as a geospatial product development manager at Vasa Lab. And today I'm going to talk about cloud-based processing analytical platform, the importance of it, how Vasa Lab is contributing in this sector. Uh, so here is the brief outline of my presentation. Yeah, I'll, I'll cover a brief introduction about my company, what we do, and then kind of challenges that the sector has using the data, how different solution can be enabled, and what are the hindrance. Some of the use cases that will present in agriculture, water, urban land use monitoring, and finally, I'll be presenting like Vasa Lab cloud-based platform, a snapshot of it. So we, Vasa Lab started in 2014, and mainly our focus is on building technology by leveraging all the latest technology. Of course, remote sensing, space data is one of the big part of it. And using the technology, we build solution to monitor and manage water, agriculture, disaster, smart cities. The company is founded by Lakshmi Prasad Putta, is the founder. Nikhilesh Kumar is the co-founder, and we work. I mean, in India and some of the other like countries like USA, Saudi Arabia. The key sector that we work: agriculture, disaster, water, energy, smart city. So when we talk about space data, satellite data, so what are the challenges that normally user face while developing any solution, while building any use cases? The first challenges is, despite having huge potentiality, and we are living in a time where right now data is not a problem. We have data availability from multiple ranges, starting from what is, if we, I mean, that's a very long history that we have, archival data we have. Landsat is a long record. Some of the Indian satellite that we have is having a very extensive record. Some of the other global data that we have rightly, I'm not talking about those data. It's well discussed in previous presentations. But if we see the journey of data resolution, data availability, frequency, we are living in a time where data availability is very frequent, very much available in our hand. But The problem is the size of the data, the complexity in the processing. So my previous presenter also talked about it. And where we as a company, we felt that to solve that part, it's important that we leverage the benefit of cloud technology and build solution top of it and enable our user with ready-made solution so that user do not need to like worried about what they need to do with the data, how to bring solution. So solution is ready-made for the user, and all the other complex part is being handled through the platform, right? Now, cloud-based platform, what opportunity it provides? So it provides seamless data integration. It provides seamless data handling and storage. It's scalable. As much as processing computation you required, you can scale it to your requirement. You can do scheduled data processing through automatic pipeline. Once data are processed, stored in a very articulated manner in the cloud storage or either in database or storage, then advanced analytics is being enabled top of it, and that actually enables the large scale monitoring. And finally, what it brings to user is the cost efficiency, right? So once it is very cost efficient to user are more like flexible to adopt the solution rather than investing into the inbuilt cost, just the user's cost. And that's why I think Dr. Padibash also talked about it, where data as a platform, software as a service, or data as a service comes into the picture. So what we did is we built it like a cloud-based platform for water, for like agriculture, and top of that we built multiple solutions. So I'll just present some of the brief use cases using it. Yeah, I have a couple of videos to present here. So in agriculture, what we did is we tried to solve the usability part of the data. So let's say in agriculture, the even Pradeep also talked about how it can be enabled to last mile user, where data can be transferred into analytics and can be transformed into field level analytics, basically. So what we did, we used high resolution satellite data to first delineate field boundaries by applying AI. And in this brief video, you can see kind of result it produced. So now by leveraging the high resolution satellite data, it's very easy to delineate field parcel in like country like India, where agriculture parcel size are very small or marginal. Where if you want to apply remote sensing, you want to utilize the benefit of remote sensing data, rather than pixel-based approach, we felt it is better to go as a like field-based approach, where you do all the analytics, all the monitoring, all the detection at field level using object-based classification approach. So here is an example how we do crop classification using time series remote sensing data, and data comes in the platform. It's a fusion like model that you have created, where doesn't matter the source, optical, microwave, it creates a data fusion, and top of it algorithm is being trained, and then this kind of results are produced. The system is also integrated with a real-time mobile app, where user actually can go collect the field sample and they can submit, and which provides a two-way assessment. One is eye in the sky, there's the satellite. Other is the eye is in hand, that's the mobile camera. So by bringing the synergy of both sides, we enabled this so that the analytics that we generate, it is more accurate, more transparent, and more acceptable to user. In the similar use case, where we use our platform to monitor each crop field at different time stamp, continuous time stamp, so that continuous growth journey it can be monitored. Within field variation, temporal variation can be monitored and given analytics to the user. What is happening within the crop field at what time, at what scale. So if I just go through briefly how this boundary detection works. So all user needs to do is user need to define a small area or like required AOI, and they can select either open source based maps, or if they want to use commercial satellite data, they also can do use algorithm, corresponding model, submit for processing, and user can track the processing also and see the results. Further, if user fails, if anywhere there is a like discrepancy in the result, there is a limitation in the result, they can always investigate. They can use the web-based editing tool to improve those. Either do merge or do cut polygon or digitize new. All the JS based functionalities are enabled top of this. Now, once boundary is generated, what we do is we process the satellite data on the fly in cloud, and this is an user interface just to explain. I mean, and uh, in the domain it is well known how the pipeline works, how pipeline is being designed. So I won't talk about it much, but this is just a small demonstration that how it happens. User can select any data, they can select required processing parameter, and they can submit it for processing. Once data is processed, they can visualize for quality checking, and it can be done irrespective of the multiple irrespective of the satellite sources, optical, microwave. Now, once data is ready available for crop classification, crop samples can be uploaded, and based on those crop samples, model can be trained on the fly. I mean, it takes hardly 5 minutes to 6 minutes time based on the area size and number of data timestamps being like given as input. So I'm fast forwarding it with to and once computation is done, model is trained, prediction is done. This is how the result looks like at each crop plot level. So where different crop types are being identified, classified, corresponding acreages, accuracy also can be evaluated on the fly. Now, what it enables, it gives a 360-degree like coverage of monitoring, agriculture monitoring. Once you have field enabled, you use that for crop monitoring, crop detection. Also, farmer, surveyor, user, they can use the inbuilt connected mobile app to identify their location, which field they are standing on. They can capture the field information. They can periodically submit those images or information and give a real-time or realistic view of the like situation in the field that is being happening. Once those data comes into the platform, user can check, can drill down to each field level. And let's say in this example, you select a field and it provides you option to view all the images being collected in the through the mobile application, and you can get the information that what is being detected through satellite data. So let's image what is being submitted through mobile app. Let's again measure, but at different time, once images are coming, we apply another AI algorithm to detect, to analyze the mobile captured photo, to detect what crop it is or whether any damages are there or not. So what it is doing, it has assessed the crop, it is collecting the evidence at multiple growth stages, at multiple scenario, top of it, algorithm is running to detect at real time if is there any crop loss, any crisis happening in the ground, so that those can be captured and given to a real-time view of the ground scenario. So using the satellite data, some of the further analytics that we create at field level, that's annual cropping pattern. So field boundaries enabled, and in this visualization you can see red and green color in those field polygon. What it provides is what are the plots where farmer are associated with and where farmer are still in absence to be associated. Once boundary is enabled through the backend processing pipeline, entire computation is being carried out, and to analyze the annual cropping pattern in aggregated term or also at it finer term. When I say aggregated term, let's say in India, as an example, we have multiple seasons. The first season starts during monsoon time, that we say Kharif season. Next, during winter, dry season or Rabi season. During summer, it's a summer season or Zaid season. So during this season, if crop is being cultivated, what kind of crop it is, whether it's a water intensive crop that we like labeled or classified as wet crop, some of the crop like paddy, sugarcane, which are more water consumptive. Paddy in a season consumes almost 1200 mm, 1300 mm. Sugarcane also in an annum or 10 month also similar kind of water requirement. So those are water intensive crop that we labeled as wet crop. Some of the crop which are less water intensive crop, any crop having a water requirement less than 500 mm in a season, we label it as a dry crop. So now if we combine information of multiple season, during monsoon, during dry season, during summer season, what it provides in a annual calendar, one field, what are the different crop is being cultivated and what is the combined cropping pattern, whether it's wet, whether it's wet, dry, wet, fallow, fallow, dry, and different possible combination available. Similarly, once cropping pattern is identified, then we convert those information into cropping intensity. So it gives an assessment to the user, especially to the policymaker. Let's say in a irrigation command area, if irrigation structure or entire setup is functioning very well, the cropping intensity should be high, at least 200% or 300%. But if irrigation structure is not functioning well and water is not released well, the cropping intensity comes down to either 0%, that crop cultivation is not happening, or 100% that crop cultivation is happening at least at one time, if not more. So those analytics, those insights are being extracted at each field level. That's the annual side of it. If we talk about while during the current season, it shows you the variation in the crop. So in this example, it's an example of irrigation command area in one of the state in India, where rice is being predominated crop within the irrigated area during monsoon's time, and during dry time there is no water availability as irrigation infrastructure is not functioning well, so it remains fallow. So if you switch from year to year, season to season, you actually get what is the history of the cropping practices being happening in each season. So if you see this range of products, one is annual in nature, the first two. Third one is seasonal in nature. In this current season, what is happening? And then if in near real time in nature, where what is the wetness variation within the command area? And it provides information whether any area having water deficit, any area having dryness, any area is not receiving water properly. Solution also provides an analytics how over the time crop growth and its spatial as well as temporal variation is there within the region. So if we talk about a single field, within the field variation also can be captured. But what if a policymaker, a decision maker want to assess at any particular time during the season, how is the growth variation across the region? So this solution enables all those policymakers and like decision makers to make informed decision based on the current scenario in the ground. Where are the stresses? Okay. So that was a brief like use cases in the agriculture. Some of the use cases in water in India, especially in the southern part of India, there are a lot of water harvesting structure available. So if you can see in this slide, that those water bodies are not actually natural water bodies, but those are artificially created to store water for the purpose of irrigation, right? So during monsoon time, those water bodies gets filled, and during dry time, water is being utilized to cultivate crop. So what we did, we utilized like both microwave and optical satellite data to give a continuous assessment and water accounting at multiple level. So if I give you an example, one of the state in southern state in India, Tamil Nadu, which is having almost 70,000 of micro irrigation tank. Telangana, another state where they have almost 50,000 of tank. And this monitoring of these tanks is very important to assess how much agriculture cultivation is being happening, or whether it's possible to cultivate. Some of the tanks are fitted by canal also. So time to time, irrigation manager also need to know at what location tanks are getting dried up so that they can fill it. If water already available and if they release water, it's a waste of natural resources and waste of also the money, because pumping water involves a huge amount of cost. So what we did, we enabled one solution to monitor the tank periodically using the satellite data. And if you see during dry time, there is no water or very limited patches. As the time goes and monsoon arrives, tank starts filling. And you'd also able to see here the with variation in the water depth at different level at different time. From the first one is empty, where entire tank is blank. Then shallow, very low depth, less than 1 meter, medium, then 1 to 2 meter, and deep more than 2 meter, right? Now you can see data is coming. So here we are utilizing Sentinel-1. That is coming at every 12 days over India subcontinent. So we utilize that and assess the continuous water area, and also we implemented a method to assess the total volume of the water body at different time. And if you can see in the right side, there's a chart which is giving you the water dynamics across the year. During monsoon, June, July, there's no water. Once August comes, from August onwards, there's water is full. And once it goes to January, February, March, when dry season or winter season starts, tank started become empty. And then another filling happens. That's the canal water filling. And based on that filling, irrigation is being made within the ICAT area of the tank. To explain briefly how we do, so we took Sentinel-1 VVVH polarization, we converted into a 3-band RGB, which enhanced the water like land cover, and then top of it we trained machine learning model with different combination of data with different set of data parameter, and evaluated the accuracy, which is giving like how much accuracy, what kind of quality at different time, at different spatial context, different water tanks, and then volume is computed based on the elevation curvature of the surface. To talk about some of the use cases in urban land use monitoring. So in urban land use, we use like high resolution satellite data, 0.5 meter, 0.3 meter, 0.8 meter, based on the different satellite data available, but more or less it's less than 1 meter. And we detect buildings at multiple time, let's say at once in every month, to give government an assessment within the government land in the city if there is an encroachment happening. If there is an encroachment happening, so built up construction starts happening slowly, and then at a time you would be able to see there is another new building. So once there is a new established building, it's very difficult to remove for the government. There's a lot of hardness to do. But if those construction can be detected as early as possible, then it's easier for government to take action at the earliest. So what we did, we enabled one solution which detects new constructed building each month based on the high resolution satellite data that we receive from different vendors. And we give government and analytics time to time in a city how many like new here is an example you can see. Before time, here there's no building, or there is just a footprint, and within few months there is a new construction visible in the image. So by leveraging that, we enabled a complete solution where in the back end processing happens automatically, and satellite data in each month is being analyzed through AI and compared with previous month to see if there is any new changes. Once there is a new changes, the system identifies those changes and converts into a interpretable information. It highlights those location, it converts into point and polygon, and further aggregates into multiple ward, zone, and in different jurisdiction level, where at each jurisdiction there is a government officer like in charge. Notification goes to his mobile either through SMS or through mobile notification, and he takes action immediately based on the notification. He goes to ground, he does the investigation and takes the action as early as possible. So here you can see there is a small blue color square polygon is popping up in two times stamp. Yeah, so which is showing actually in the month of March 2020 and in the month of April 2020, what's being the difference. So even the area is too much dense, like in terms of buildings, but still there is a small change in the texture, in the tone that is being detected by the AI. So that was some of the summary use cases that we built for our client to enable our client, like either government or enterprise, uh, to enable them with various analytics solutions, where then no need to worry about the data, no need to worry about the processing complexity, data handling, and all those. Everything that user gets is the final analyzed output in a very actionable format. So these solutions are enabled top of Bhasa's WISE platform, and for agriculture, we named this as FieldWise, and for water, we named this as Aqua. So I'll play a small video showing the capability or the services that FieldWise enables in terms of agriculture monitoring it has audio also. If not audible, please let me know. Is audible? Is it audible for the user?
No, there is no audio. Only the video is playing.
Okay.
I think some setting you have to possibly change.
Is it?
Now it's working. No, it stopped again, the audio.
It's still not audible.
It is not. It came for a few seconds and it stopped.
Okay. I'll briefly explain what is being happening. I mean, the journey I have explained already, but the full platform enables various services from field monitoring, field crop detection. These are the remote sensing based like assessment. Further, it also provides pest prediction using the weather data and gives pest forewarning in 1 week and 15 days advance to enable user uh, with data insights and information. The platform is also enabled with GenAI based technology to give farmer a very interactive assistance related to agriculture, related to agronomy, related to pest and disease, related to package of practices, everything. So this is a fusion of technology. This platform is a fusion of technology where by leveraging multiple technology, and a platform is being enabled is enabling multiple services where satellite data, your data is one of the key component and backbone. The platform is also used to enable multiple projects at a larger scale. I'll say in India, multiple state level like project is enabled. Outside India, it's like multiple client at enterprise level services are enabled based on this. The platform is very flexible. It doesn't attach to any like cloud service provider. It's a very like hybrid in nature. You can deploy on like on-prem. You can deploy like in cloud. So it's cloud agnostic. The platform is used for multiple use cases in the agriculture, starting with irrigation monitoring at multiple command area, full state scale agriculture monitoring uh, in different part of the country, and it provides a full life cycle monitoring from sowing till harvesting. In similar line, AquaWise is enabled to monitor water. So when we talk about water, from the origin of the water, let's say rain, then where water is being like stored, transferred, transported, either through river, through canal, through in soil as a soil moisture. This platform monitors all the aspect of water. Further, once the water monitoring part is covered, the platform also provides advanced analytics and advisories like flood warning, at what location, what river the water is flowing at danger level, at what different reservoir, dam, water is reaching to its max level, and if there is any additional water comes through inflow from the catchment, uh, there might be flood situation. So platform detects and analyze data at real time and provides those simulation, those forecast in well advance so that a decision maker can take decision in very advanced at very advanced time. If we talk about irrigation network, data comes from various sources. One of the sources is IoT, and based on various data parameter, different level of analytics is being created. The platform also have real-time CCTV connected, where you can actually monitor the different dam, water release scenarios, pump operation, everything. So as I was mentioning, the platform monitors dams, inflows, structural changes, etc. It monitors canal irrigation till minor level and provides various analytics using soil moisture, dynamic water balance model, various crop models. The platform also provides various water distribution, like monitoring, health assessment of the different system. And but yeah, despite this forum is all about like space technology, EO data, but the platform that we have enabled for our clients, for our users, it's a fusion of multiple technology, and through those technology various services are enabled. So I'll be very happy to answer if any query is there from the audience. So thank you for the opportunity. That was the end of my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. This was a very informative talk, a clear explanation of how cloud-based processing and analytical platforms are used for. You covered a variety of areas: agriculture, water, urban, forest monitoring, etc. So thank you very much. Now we'll have the. So I guess now wrap up the session. This was the last talk, and Dr. Lee, are you there?
Yeah, it's a Q&A time.
Yeah, Q&A time. So
Yeah. By the way, I'd like to announce one more things. Dr. Che, the second speaker of Korean side, I already mentioned that he's not be with us today, and also the Miss Dr. Yang, the last speaker, was out of the office because of urgent matter, so she cannot answer if there is any kind of questions from Indian side. So now only the first speaker is available for the possible questions from Indian side. Yeah, that's
from
the
the
thing
Indian,
I'd like to mention.
yeah, from the Indian side, the first and the last speaker are there, but the second speaker, Pratik Basu, he has a important meeting with the government, so he had to go out. But the first and the last speaker are there. So questions are most welcome from the audience.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question to the first speaker, Dr. Janesh Mohan. He mentioned in his presentation, page 5, the transfer of ISRO technology to private sector is encouraged by the Indian government. And this kind of things happens in Korea recently. Our government wanted to transfer our space technology to the private side, but the most biggest issue is intellectual property and the cost the company should be paid. Please please make a comment, any kind of a comment about the transfer of technology to the private side, private sector in India. Do you have any similar problems, just like the cost to be paid or the intellectual property issues?
I think you're on mute, Dr. Ganesh Mohan. Dr. Ganesh Mohan, you are on mute. Can you unmute and answer the question?
He's not here?
He looks like he's on mute and not answering. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm so sorry. I was running a problem with the audio. Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, in Korea we have a very similar problem when our government wanted to transfer of space technology to the private sector. So
Okay.
one of my question is in order to get the technology transfer to the private sector, private company should pay some kind of money, and also is there any intellectual property issues?
Right. Two parts to it. First, you asked about the IPR part. So essentially, in all our TOTs, the IP rights, or rather the rights to manufacture the product and sell the product, will be with the recipient. But if they were to go for a design alteration, etc., so then it will have to be, coming back to the designer, which is ISRO in this sense. So the rights will be to manufacture it in bulk, find your market, and sell the product. So that's where we're delineating it. Any design upgradation, it will have to come back to the designer and do it. In terms of the financials, the methodology is in space, again, being a government department, there's no question of a business here. It will be on a purely no profit basis. It is an on cash basis. The same expenses will be collected, and that will be collected through NSIL, the company which is there, because in space being a government department, we're not authorized to collect money on behalf of or from the company. So that is done through New Space India Limited. So the financials are managed through that. So that's how we are doing the process here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have another question to the third the speaker, the Dr. Saptashi Mondal. So, in order to operate, to run the platform, how many image databases you are using? You mentioned the Sentinel data and the Google Earth observation data, etc. But how about the satellite image data from Indian satellite? Are you going to use, or you are using the image data from Indian satellite also?
Uh, uh, Thank you for your query. So it's a very, very important aspect to talk about and touch. So right now in the platform, so all the open source satellite data are enabled uh, from NASA reference agency, and to talk about some of the commercial data from Maxar, Planet, right? Those are also enabled. As far as Indian satellite data is concerned, so that since Indian satellite data policy, though government has made a huge like change and transformation in terms of geospatial data policy in the recent time, but as far as the direct access of still there is a lag, and that is directly available to the government agencies right now without any restriction. So whenever we enable any solution to our for our government clients, for any state departments, any let's say state agriculture department, state water resource department, right? So those government department normally raise a request for the access of the data, and once those relevant permissions are being given, we integrate in those like dedicated projects. So that's how we right now we use Indian satellite data. But yes, some of the very good data sets available in different resolution, and yeah, we are also leveraging those satellite data.
We cannot hear you. Dr. Lee, I think you're saying something, but didn't hear you.
Do you have any questions from Indian side to Korean
Yeah, I have
speaker?
this is Sujit. I have a question to Dr. O regarding this using data from data and images from Korean satellites. I mean, can you speak in the international context? So suppose a company or a government from another company wants to use your images and you have your laws. So how would we go about initiating such a process?
Thank you for your good questions. As I said before, we have the yeah, as you see, the Dr. Choi's slide is that we have three commercial data companies like the Contact, I don't know the name, another two, remember. But as I said before, it is based on the Space Development and Promotion Act and the present decree that the satellites shall be distributed by guided by the CASA's head of the CASA, and then also they have one guideline, and then following the CASA's guideline, CARI, then NIGI, other institutes shall allocate their data share with the other companies. And then as the Dr. Choi slide, they have three exclusive contract with the companies. But my government will want to more open the satellite data invested by, accumulated by, and collected by the Korean satellite funded by my government. So they want to transparency and openness for the satellite images and data. But the problem we have is the security issues, as I said before. So which kind of measures and then standards shall be established? Actually, we have many data from the satellite, government-funded satellite, but we have many classification. We shall be classification, which data shall be shared with the private sectors, or what kind of data shall be open to the private sectors. But it is not clearly established. So my government asking me have a project, proposing me a project to make that kind of standards and guidelines. So we are prepared for it. If we have any kind of guidelines for classification and often measures, that will be quite helpful for us.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Any others? Any other people in the audience? Are there any questions?
No question. We don't have any further questions to Indian side.
Okay. Dr. Lalitambika, do you have any comments or questions to the Korean side?
No, thank you. I think you can wrap up the session.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I think from the Indian side, I want to say that we had three very nice talks from Indian side and three very nice talks from the Korean side. It was very informative about various aspects of how to use satellite images in the private sector and how the government and the space agencies can work with various companies. And also, it's very interesting to see the practices in Korea, which should be helping us to frame our own policies. So thank you all for these wonderful talks, both the three talks from the Korean side and three talks from the Indian side. And I'm sure this will help us take this collaboration forward. Over to Dr. Lee.
Yeah, thank you very much, all participants from Korea side and Indian side as well. And I think this is just the beginning of the future collaboration between the two countries. And probably next year we can have more fruitful and beneficial workshop again. And personally, Professor Sujis, I would like to meet you in some other day in the academic meeting. Thank you very much, all participants, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's time to wrap up. Finish.
Let me also thank both the session chairs and all the speakers and also all the participants, and looking forward to fruitful collaboration in the future as well. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.